Thanks for joining us today. Just a few hours ago, we learned how the governor wants to spend your tax dollars. Kathy Hochul sharing her proposed budget, again coming in at $227 billion. Now she'll have to work with the legislature to come to an agreement on a spending plan. The budget, of course, outlines fiscal priorities, but in this state, a lot of policy changes also get lumped in. After Governor Hochul welcomed the crowd and thanked those in attendance, the first priority that she laid out today from the podium was to make the state safer. Fighting crime was, of course, one of the most contentious issues during the recent election. You remember all the TV ads. Many of them focused on bail reform. And today, one of Hochul's campaign promises turned into this legislative proposal.
We have to ensure that our criminal justice system is a true system of justice for all, that respects the rights of individuals. So let's just simply provide clarity. Let's ensure judges consider factors for serious offenders. And let's leave the law where it is for low-level offenses.
A lot to unpack with all of this, and joining us live right now is the Honorable Jeffrey Cohen, a retired judge who served at the Appellate Division and is now in private practice. We appreciate you taking some time for us as we're trying to understand what the governor is calling for here. We've heard from, over the months and past couple of years from DAs, we've heard from defense attorneys. Interesting to get a judge's perspective. The governor today said that she's looking for a, quote, thoughtful conversation about bail reform. Do you think that's possible in Albany, and what did you make of what's going to happen now?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. I was a judge for about 30 years, and I retired 2 years ago, and it's indeed very unusual to have a judge speak about this, because if you're a judge, you're not permitted to speak about this. But I suppose now that I'm back in private practice, not I suppose, but now that I'm back in private practice, it's very clear to me, having been a judge, that judges need discretion. And bail reform, as initially envisioned, took away a tremendous amount of discretion. It was reformed twice, or changed, tweaked, any word you want, in the last couple of years. And Governor Hochul made it very clear it needs more tweaking, and I agree with her. I agree with her completely. Thoughtful conversation in Albany. Well, I suppose it's possible. It has happened in the past. This is a very important issue to ensure the security, the safety of all of our citizens, and at the same time, ensure that we don't go back to what was before bail reform, when many Democrats were very concerned about the possibility of bias when it comes to bail. But the governor made it clear she doesn't want to change anything with respect to low-level crimes. She's concerned about felonies and repeat offenders and giving discretion back to judges where it belongs.
And we'll see what happens once there are negotiations with the legislature. There are going to be a lot of people in the governor's own party who don't necessarily agree with this. We've already heard from some Republican leaders in the state today who said that this just doesn't go nearly far enough in what they believe, the governor should be doing with bail reform. You think that the tweaking this around the edges, is that the compromise between a lot of what Democrats in Albany want versus what a lot of Republicans want? Is this the middle ground?
Well, you could call it tweaking around the edges, and I really don't think it's tweaking per se. I think everybody has the same objective: safety of all of our citizens, and also not to diminish the rights of an accused, because you're not guilty until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And of course, the tremendous problems that we had confronted prior to bail reform was that there were many people in jail awaiting trial because they couldn't make bail. Even $250 to a person who doesn't have $250, unemployed, has no money, has no family, homeless. Many judges were setting low bail, what we would consider low bail, but low bail to me and you is not necessarily low bail to a person who has no money. And so people were sitting in jail for sometimes up to a year, if not longer, on misdemeanors where you could only go to jail for a maximum of a year. And they were sitting in jail because they couldn't even make low bail. But that when when we're talking about tweaking around the edges, it's really not tweaking around the edges. I believe that the governor is very concerned, as am I, as are many people, with giving the judges the discretion they need. They're the ones who are elected to set bail or not set bail. Yes, there should be limitations. Yes, we shouldn't allow bias of a judge, if that is what occurs, to affect a person's freedom. And there needs to be concentration on issues like mental health, as we all know, is directly connected to crime, and drug abuse, directly related to crime. Those issues need to be addressed, as well as bail reform, because there's a certain amount of that Bail Reform Act today that leads to confusion, and it needs to be clarified.
Jeffrey Cohen is a former judge in the Appellate Division, now in private practice, and as you mentioned, now able to provide us some context here from a judge's perspective. We've heard sort of from a lot of the players in this debate, and interesting to get your perspective. We appreciate you taking some time for us.
It was very much my pleasure, and just the beginning of my career was with the Legal Aid Society. So I've been on both sides of this, or on two sides.
Absolutely. Got it all covered.
Thank you
Sir,
very
thank you
much
very
for having
much.
me.
Yep. Have a good night.
Bye.